We're always giving you tips to have the best Disney World vacation ever, but the truth is there are times when you should definitely start to panic because things are going downhill fast. Don't say we didn't warn you. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Today on DFB Guide, we're not talking about minor inconveniences like your shoes getting wet or a restaurant not having your favorite menu item. We're talking about big vacation ruining problems. If you're stuck in a restaurant with no way to pay because of tech glitches, or you show up to your hotel and there's no reservation on file, you can start to panic in Disney World, but we're going to tell you how to get yourself out of those situations. Okay, let's start with that last one that we just talked about. You show up at Disney World and they don't have a record of your hotel reservation. This has happened to me. It's happened to other people I know. All right, well, the first thing you're going to want to do is prevent this from happening, and that's to double and triple check before you leave for vacation that your hotel reservation is 100% confirmed. If you have a My Disney Experience account and you were logged in when you booked, that reservation should show up, but you may need to manually link your reservation if it doesn't automatically connect. So if you still aren't seeing a reservation before you go, you'll want to contact Disney at 407-939-4357, but you'll need to have your reservation number. When you book your trip, be sure to write down that reservation number and store it somewhere safe. Even though everything is supposed to be in My Disney Experience, sometimes things happen, so have a backup. Even if My Disney Experience does show your reservation, we've experienced mishaps where Disney still doesn't have a record of that reservation when we arrive to check in. I personally have had a reservation showing in the app, and then when I called, I was told it had already been canceled. So even though it was still there, it was canceled. So before you leave for vacation, verify directly with Disney that your reservation is confirmed. Call them up, give them the reservation number, and say, is this confirmed? Is it showing in your records? Now, if you arrive and your hotel is all booked up with no record of your reservation, Disney's definitely going to try to help you out and get you a room to stay in. But you didn't just put months of planning into picking your hotel and planning everything for it to all go up in smoke just because you didn't double check that everything was confirmed. So give yourself an alarm on your phone or something that says, check that reservation before you leave for vacation. Okay, next time you might want to start panicking in Disney World. MagicBand payments aren't working. Now, you're stuck with a bunch of food and no way to pay because the only way you have to pay is your MagicBand. Well, MagicBands are super convenient. You can use them to tap and pay by charging things back to your room and the credit card you have on file with your reservation. It's usually super easy and it works most of the time, but you should always bring a backup form of payment because things can go wrong and you don't want to be stuck with no way to buy the things you want, or worst comes to worst, the things you already consumed. Now, I suspect if this happened at a sit-down restaurant after you've already finished your meal, they may be able to do an old school charge back to your room by getting your room number and verifying with the hotel. But it's going to save you some trouble if you just bring a secondary credit card or some cash to the parks with you. During Epcot festivals, those payment kiosks at the food booths often have glitches where they can't accept MagicBands. So bring some cash and you won't need to worry about changing your plans and missing out, or make sure to have that backup credit card. This has happened to us a couple of times since the parks reopened, where MagicBand payments have been down for several hours, if not a whole day. And so our team has always had to have that backup form of payment because we're not going to not get that cupcake and review it for you. All right, the next time you might feel like panicking in Disney World, you lose your phone or your credit card or your ID. I've done them all. Thank you very much. There are ways to get them back, but it's not guaranteed, so this is for sure a moment to panic. First things first, retrace your steps. If you just lost it, you may be able to find it where you left it. But if it's been a little bit, the item has likely been picked up by a cast member and started its trek to Lost and Found. If you've lost something in the parks, head to Guest Relations and they'll create a lost item report. There's a chance that someone may have just turned in your item and it could be there, but more than likely you'll be filling out that lost item report. You can actually fill out a report without going to Guest Relations too. Just go to chargerback.com/Disney World. This is the new Lost and Found system that Disney just put into place. And you can give the info about the thing you lost and where to contact you if it's found. Now, that can be a great system or it can come up completely empty. So Follow the instructions at guest relations or guest services. See what they tell you to do. They've dealt with this a million times, so they'll know the most likely ways to get your lost item returned. But if what you've lost is a credit card or an ID card, again, the best thing to do is preventative. Photocopy your credit cards and ID cards before you leave, and leave those things with someone responsible who's not going on the trip with you. Then, if something happens and you lose those cards, you can call them, get the information from the cards, what phone number to call, how to cancel a credit card. Losing your ID is super problematic because if you're flying, you can't get on the plane. So that's another one to take care of as quickly as possible, and to have that photocopy of that card accessible. Someone can send you a picture of it, or even put photocopies in your luggage so that you've got those, so you can potentially figure out a way to get back on an airplane if you need to. All right, another time you might need to panic when you're in Disney World. Your MagicBand won't unlock your hotel room. This happens a lot. Make sure you check as soon as you get to your room that everyone's MagicBand works to get inside. If you have multiple rooms between your group, things may get mixed up, especially if you have family members with similar names or the same name like I do. Or there might just be a glitch that didn't fully activate your band to get you access to your hotel room. You may need to trek back to the front desk to get it sorted, but if you check it out when you first arrive, you can avoid the headache of having to do this at midnight when you get back from a long day in the park, or like me, walking around a hotel sopping wet because you've been at the pool. Now, don't forget, if you're just not into going back to the front desk to get it fixed right away, or your room is forever away from the front desk, like mine always seems to be when this happens, you can try using the My Disney Experience app to get into your room. There's a part of the app that will unlock your door, or you can request a key card if your MagicBand is acting up several times on your trip. Okay, now here's a new one that you might panic about. Your mask fell off and you don't have a backup. Well, always bring a backup and some more backup masks on top of that. You can never have too many, trust me. Now, if that mask falls off on a ride, pretty unlikely, though definitely a concern for kiddos, you probably won't be thrown out of the park if you explain the situation and go buy another one right away. Masks are sold in pretty much every merchandise shop all over Disney World, so you'll never be far from an overpriced mask. But seriously, bring extras for you and your kids. We see lost items all the time in the parks, so many kids' shoes. So always check that your kid still has their mask on. One other thing to know, if your mask did fall off on a ride, you aren't going to get your ride photo. Disney has a very strict policy, and no mask on a ride means no photo for you, even if it is an accident. Okay, so now what happens if you leave your MagicBand or your ticket card in your hotel room and you can't get into the park? Well, you can ask at guest relations for another key to the world card so you don't have to go all the way back to your hotel, but you'll need to have an account linked or some way to prove your tickets are actually linked to you. If you can't prove you've got that ticket, you are going to be out of luck, my friend. So you're definitely going to want to bring your ID. They will absolutely have to see your ID in order to reissue a new key card. Now, guest relations may be able to verify you've got a ticket by scanning another party member's MagicBand or key card, but always store a copy of your confirmation numbers, tickets, etc. offline and easily accessible, just in case you need them. It may seem like a pain, but make that My Disney Experience account for everyone in your family. You can make and control ones for younger kiddos, but still make them and link those tickets. This will make things a lot easier. If you link your park tickets to your My Disney Experience account, Disney Guest Relations can easily find and verify your tickets with your email and your address that are on file. But remember, bring that ID. All right, here's another new one that you're going to have to panic about. My Disney Experience glitches when you're trying to get a Rise of the Resistance boarding group. All right, it's your Hollywood Studios day. You're up super early to make sure you've got plenty of time to prepare for clicking through the My Disney Experience app and getting your boarding group for the uber popular Rise of the Resistance ride. You've done everything right. Followed along with our guides and tips. You have the whole family linked up and all of your tickets and park passes. You got this. Everything's running smoothly, and then the app crashes. By the time you get it back, all the boarding passes are gone. We always recommend to screenshot everything during this process so you can show a cast member exactly what happened. You can prove that you were trying to get that boarding pass at that exact time and that you were in the park if you needed to be in the park, and they can try to help. If you don't have the screenshots, there's not a lot they can do, but if you can show that the app wasn't registering your park pass or ticket, they may be able to get you a spot in the queue for the ride. Rise of the Resistance is the big important thing you're doing in the My Disney Experience app, but this app also holds all of your reservations, and once FastPass is back, that's all in there too. So always take screenshots of everything and keep a hard copy of your plans. That app could crash and you might not have access to your plans in digital form, so always have that backup. All right, an oldie but a goodie. You're late for a reservation and you're waiting for a Disney bus. Or you're hanging suspended on a paused monorail, or something else has caused a major problem. I was once caught for about an hour on a Disney boat waiting for the electrical water pageant to go by. That was a very, very long time. Now, the best way to handle most of the situations we're talking about on this list is to do some preparations ahead of time. But still, there are plenty of instances where you may find yourself in an unavoidable and totally inconvenient situation. Complimentary Disney World transportation is usually pretty reliable, but there are still times when you may find yourself waiting absolutely forever for a bus to come, or stuck way up in the air on the Skyliner. Transportation delays might be no big deal if you're not trying to get somewhere on time, but if you're on your way to dinner with the whole family and you're definitely going to miss that reservation time, maybe it's Be Our Guest restaurant that you've practically signed over the deed on your house to get, you might start to panic. Disney World restaurants have a no-show fee of $10 per person, and you don't want to get stuck paying for a meal you didn't eat just because you're waiting on a bus. Well, buses are supposed to arrive every 20 minutes or so. If you just missed one, you may be waiting a bit for one to arrive and then load up. While it's not very common, the Skyliner has occasionally experienced some rather lengthy delays, with guests stuck sitting on those gondolas waiting to start moving again. If it's a transportation issue like the Skyliner breaks down or the monorail breaks down, you should be covered, no problem. Call the restaurant to let them know you'll be late if you can. Otherwise, just explain the situation when you do arrive. One time, when the Skyliner was down for an extended time, we saw Disney give out fast passes to guests who missed their window due to the breakdown. If it's Disney's fault that you were late, don't stress out too much. They'll help you out. But to avoid a sticky situation altogether, leave plenty of time to get where you need to go. If you have 20 minutes to get to Epcot from your hotel, then call a car to come get you and hope there's no traffic. Disney always recommends an hour and a half travel time to get anywhere, and if it's something really, really important, you should 100% abide by that rule. Better to get there an hour early than get there 30 minutes late. Okay, now this one may seem silly, but it can actually be a big deal, and that's when the limited edition merchandise you were waiting to buy is all sold out. This one's a hot topic in the Disney community right now. Limited edition merch is limited, and if you snooze on getting there right when it goes on sale, you may miss out. When popular collections go on sale, you'll probably see people loading up with armfuls of mini ears or exclusive plushes, and you'll think to yourself, why does that random guy need 20 pairs of mini ears? Well, there are a lot of online sellers out there, and they often fill bags full of limited edition merchandise when it first goes on sale. That's why you might walk into a store and see entire shelves just completely wiped out within 5 minutes of opening. Now, Disney has started adjusting limits on merchandise, so you may not see people grabbing 10 of one item anymore, but a lot of that limited edition stuff requires you to show up early and wait in a long line to get it. Even if you're not bombarded by online sellers, there's a chance that limited edition stuff will sell out super fast. So if there's something you really want, make sure to plan ahead so you aren't left empty-handed or paying exorbitant prices for it online. For more popular limited release merchandise, Disney's been offering something called Merch Pass on shopdisney.com, which is a kind of lottery system that lets you get first dibs at purchasing new items. So always try for that first if you're looking to buy some limited edition merch. Now, like I said, this may seem silly, but if you're at Disney World for that 50th anniversary this year and you really, really, really want that pair of 50th anniversary mini ears or a t-shirt or something to commemorate that you were there, that stuff's going to sell out fast and you're going to have to think ahead. Okay, so those are some times when you might want to panic in Disney World and prep ahead and think about what you're going to do if it happens. Now, we do have a few times here when you shouldn't panic, and we want to talk about those too, because I know a lot of you can get real anxious about these things, and you probably shouldn't. Okay, first of all, you get stuck on a ride. It might be a little unpleasant unless you're like us and love seeing rides with the lights on and peek backstage, but getting stuck on a ride in Disney World is no reason to panic. Disney will get you off safely if you do need to evacuate, but most of the time things will start moving again without taking a walk through a fully lit up Space Mountain. Most times it will just be a short pause on a ride. They try to avoid full stops and evacuations whenever possible, but Disney knows what they're doing. If you do need to evacuate a ride, follow directions from cast members and remain seated until they tell you it's time to move. Another time not to freak out too much, you have to go, and I mean go, in the middle of a 2-hour-long line. Okay, so always hit that restroom before you hop in line for a long wait, but know that some queues do have restrooms in them, or you can always ask a cast member to help you out. At Rise of the Resistance, you'll be escorted to a backstage bathroom and then reunited with your group after that, but you do have to ask a cast member to be taken to the restroom. And Flight of Passage over in Animal Kingdom has a restroom midway through the queue as well, so keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, you may get a pass to get back in line if you need to leave the attraction completely. Just ask before you leave the line. If you just leave without talking to a cast member, you're going to be out of luck. Okay, so how about the times you lose your MagicBand? Well, assuming you followed our earlier tips and you created that My Disney Experience account and linked your tickets, it's a relatively easy fix if you straight up lose your MagicBand. Since MagicBands aren't free for hotel guests anymore, it's kind of a bummer because you'll need to buy a new one, but you can easily deactivate your band so that no one else can use it and have access to your park tickets or your credit card or anything else you got stored on your band. Just go into the My Disney Experience app under your profile and click MagicBands and cards, find the band you lost and click deactivate. Then go ahead and buy a new one or just use a Key to the World card if you don't want to spend the extra cash. And don't forget, if you do buy a new one, you can activate it all by yourself and connect it to your My Disney Experience account. Losing your MagicBand does not mean you have to go deal with guest services at all. You can handle it all on your own through your My Disney Experience account. All right, next one, and I know you're going to want to panic when this happens. You lose your kid. Okay, this one's kind of half and half. Of course you're going to panic. Of course you're going to lose your mind if you lose your child. But let me reassure you, cast members do a great job of helping kids feel safe when they're trying to reunite them with their family. So while this is definitely a moment in which you will panic, please understand the process that Disney goes through when kids are lost. First up, tell your kids to look for the Disney name tag if they ever get separated to help them find their lost parents. So those little oval name tags, show them to your kids, let them know what they look like, and if they ever get lost, tell them to find somebody wearing one of those name tags and tell them that they lost their parents. If a cast member is helping a kid find their parents, it's the parents who are lost, since the kid is right there. Now, cast members will first look in the immediate area for those lost parents, but younger kids will be taken to the baby care center if more than a few minutes has passed. Older children will likely be taken to guest relations, so head there if you're looking for your kids. Now, rest assured, this happens all the time, and cast members are trained and prepared for when this happens. So take a deep breath, look around for your child, and go to a cast member immediately. And finally, another time not to panic too much. You missed the last bus or monorail or boat back to your hotel. All right, last bus, monorail, boat, Skyliner just closed. Don't panic. You are never stranded at Disney World. Believe me, there are tons of bloggers and vloggers who would love to be stranded overnight in a Disney World park, but that's never actually happened. At least not when it's been caught on camera. So Disney cast members are always going to help you get back to where you belong if you find yourself stuck outside of a park after hours and there are no buses in sight. Just find a cast member, let them know that you need help getting back to your hotel, and they'll get in contact with Disney's transportation system to get you home. And you can always call a rideshare service. Both Lyft and Uber operate at Disney World if you're really in a pinch, but cast members will definitely get you back to where you need to go. No stress. They don't want you stuck in the middle of the park all night either. So there are times to panic in Disney World, and there are times to keep your cool. Almost every problem can be solved by a little pre-planning and a little prevention, but you should know that Disney is always going to try to help out in any way possible to make your trip better. So if you do find yourself in a bind, find a cast member. They can help you figure it out. So hopefully that's been helpful for you guys. I've pretty much experienced every single one of these things on this list. And that's our job here, is to help you guys make sure you never find yourself in a bad situation in Disney World. That's what I tell my reporters all the time. Our job is to get ourselves out of sticky situations and make sure they never happen to our viewers. So thanks for listening and thanks for watching, you guys. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.